The Washington Wizards lose to the Houston Rockets and Houston 107-92, but Kyle Kuzma does shine in his return. But how did the Wizards lose this game? Me and Abdullah go talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. And your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards Daily Newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inboxes. That easy. Sign for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. And tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you can start with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, tonight. So the question is tonight is, how did the Wizards lose this game? Was it a question of the battle of the paint and rebounding, or was it in transition? So let's look at some numbers real quick before I get your take, Abdullah. Looking at the paint numbers, man. We were out rebounded 63-43. Good Lord. Including 17 offensive rebounds by the Houston Rockets, which led to 19 second chance points. But that's not all, y'all. 60 points in the paint scored by the Houston Rockets. Şengün dropped 27 points, 17 rebounds, including 7 offensive rebounds and 3 assists. So he did it all tonight. But where else did the Wizards kind of stumble tonight? Well, transition, man. If you look at the transition points for the Houston Rockets, and there we go. All right, they scored 23 fast break points compared to our 11. So, in your eyes, Abdullah, where did the Wizards lose this game? Was it losing in the battle of paint? Because that's kind of where I'm kind of leaning. But, transition, they kind of cooked us too. Jalen Green did his thing, and, Thompson did his thing. So, in your eyes, how did the Wizards lose this game?
You mentioned it. I think it's a mix of both. Obviously, transition, getting outscored like that. And when it comes to the paint, it kind of was similar to that Grizzlies game where you got Jaren Jackson. Instead of Jaren Jackson, it's Şengün. 27 and 17. And they're going to be wrong. Şengün's a beast. A big fan of him in his game. But again, it's hard to win a game in the NBA when just getting out battled in the paint, where a lot of those points come from. And overall, just offensively, just nothing really wasn't there for the Wiz tonight. It was good to see Kuzma back. So again, don't get me wrong, the Houston Rockets are a good team, but it would be nice to see more of a fight from the Wiz.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that has impressed me with the Wizards, this young Wizards team, is the culture of playing hard and playing to win. But you saw there was a couple looks in JP13's face where it's just the losses can take a toll. I mean, I get it. I think everybody's on board with what where the Wizards are and what the process is. We're going into a rebuild, and this is the first half of the season where you definitely want to give a lot of these vets some playing time and showcase them for trades. Jonas Valanciunas has played good ball, but looking at the numbers real quick, looking at the starting 5, Bub Carrington tonight, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 3 for 6 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, 4 steals, 2 blocks. Man, he did it all tonight. Man, Bub Carrington, again, I think is definitely a sleeper in this year's draft, man. But, JP13, another guy who, yes, only 11 points. We know he's that scorer. 5 for 14 for the field, 1 for 5 from 3, but 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and again, 4 steals. So this backcourt, man, is looking solid. I mean, they both distribute the ball. They both set people up. I mean, both of them contributed 6 assists, but look at the defensive numbers. I mean, Bub Carrington was a guy where coming out of the draft, coming out of Pitt, it was the scoring that a lot of people were looking at his game first as opposed to defense. But him and Keyshawn George, are definitely a couple guys who show a lot of energy on the defensive end. But we don't give enough credit to Jordan Poole and the progress he's made on the defensive end. Last season, at certain times, especially in the first half of the season, he was unplayable in defense. That's not the case this year. He worked his tail off in all season. He really put the work in, and it shows because defensively, he's a lot more polished. I mean, a lot more energy. Definitely a dog. I saw him and Steven Adams get into it, and Steven Adams, man, is a beast. I mean, that guy is like, they call him Aquaman. I mean, that dude is solid. He's strong, but I love the fight from JP13. Leading by example. You want to see fight with a young team. You see the attitude above. You see Keyshawn George with a little bit of attitude. You definitely want to see a lot more aggression from Alex Sarr, but I think he's going to get there. But you love the dog in this young team. So we talked about Alex Sarr, 5.6 rebounds, 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. There's times, where he kind of rushes his shot and really forces shots. And I definitely want to see him play with his back to the basket a lot more. But 2 blocks, not too shabby. We know he's that rim protector. Bilal Coulibaly, 35 minutes tonight, leading all Wizards in minutes, 11 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 5 for 9 from the field, and 0 for 1 from 3. So Bilal looked good in moments, especially from mid-range, man. He has a much improved mid-range game. So I love what I see from B. Cool. And Kyle Kuzma, back from injury, 18 points tonight. I'm not going to hit him on the inefficiency. Yes, he shot 7 for 18 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. But, come back from the groin injury, definitely going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the night. Definitely going to give him time to, get himself acclimated to being back in the starting five. So the starting five, not too shabby. So real quick, looking at the second unit real quick, Abdullah, man, Kispert, a better game. Not quite where we need Kispert to be, but 12 points, shooting 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 3 steals. Again, Kispert, another guy where he's shown a lot more energy on the defensive end. He was a guy where defensively he was a detriment at times last season, or really the last 3 seasons. And, he made progress last year, and you see the work he's made defensively in all season. So, again, 3 steals from him, very active in passing lanes. Keyshawn George kind of cooled out, coming out of the starting 5 with Kyle Kuzma coming back. Only 8 points, shooting 3 for 9 for the field, 2 for 4 from 3, including 3 assists. And Jonas Valanciunas, just go ahead and pencil him in for 10 to 15 points tonight. He continues to show that, when given minutes, only 16 minutes, but 10 points, 8 rebounds. Come on now. And shooting 4 for 7 from the field, including 1 steal. So, I mean, I guess the next question to Abdullah real quick, man, is, Corey Kispert, do you expect him to kind of bounce back? Because, looking at, Kyle Kuzma, we needed his production. We needed that scoring punch to come back. So it's definitely good to see him come back from the groin injury, 5 games off, 18 points in the inefficiency, but we'll take it, man. But Corey Kispert, we need him to kind of get started, man. We need that sharpshooter on the second unit. So do you expect him to find a shot at some point? Or do you think that, is this a kind of a sign for times to come?
No, I think with Corey, I've always been a fan of him. I think eventually that shot's going to fall. Obviously, early on in the season, I think the benchmark would be 20 games into the season. And if it's not, if the inefficiency is still consistent, then I think maybe you deal him along with guys like Kuz, Jonas. But I think right now you got to maybe somewhat stay patient with Corey, even though it's been more than a year now. I feel like, especially like you said, if he's a defensive threat, putting his hands in the passing lane, and you can 3 to 4 threes a game and just being efficient rather than seeing Kyle Kuzma like 7 to 18. I know he came back from injury, but again, seeing a lackluster Kyle Kuzma is something we're tired of seeing as Wizards fans. So I'm pretty I'm confident in Corey Kispert and his abilities, and I think throughout the season he's going to find his shot.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think there's no cause for alarm yet, but you definitely want to see him ramp it up. We definitely, because look, he got that contract. So with that contract comes expectations. That's the biggest thing with the contract is that you expect to take that next step with that money, man, even though it's a very team-friendly deal. But look, a lot more money than we got. So I'm just saying, you definitely expect some, a little bit of kick in production because, look, this is what, year 4. So you definitely want to see, him take that next step in his development, because he's still a young player. You still want to see him, develop further, even though, I think he's closer to a finished product than most of these young guys. Jordan Poole's a guy that you see a lot more development with him. That's what I'm saying, that, a hit coach, man, they made the right choice. You can still develop. You're seeing that with Jordan Poole, where he did his side of the contract, right? He went out there, he put the work in, he got better at offseason, but I think they're putting him in the best positions, to be successful. You should definitely see a rejuvenated Jordan Poole. Sadiq Bey, we don't know yet. It's going to be a little bit until we see him. But getting back to Corey Kispert, I think he's going to be all right, man. I think he's a keeper. Now, the two guys, we've talked about it a few times. In the case of Jordan Poole and Corey Kispert, if you do decide to move him at some point, I don't think it's anytime soon. I think that they resonate for a while. I think that if you look at the team-friendly deal with Corey Kispert, with his ability to shoot the 3-point shot, with his ability to slash the basket, move without the basketball, attack the basket, improve ball handling, I think you keep him around for a little bit because you need a guy on the cheap who can definitely provide that scoring punch off the second unit. And again, I like the 1-2 punch that him and Keyshawn George provide off the second unit. They need that punch, so I think that he's definitely a keeper. Even if you consider moving from Kispert or JP13, I don't think it's anytime soon. I think you're going to see them for at least 1 to 2 more seasons before they even really think about, the possibility of moving on for them. So like I said tonight, Corey Kispert, I'm not too concerned, but Keyshawn George kind of cooled out. But I guess before we move on, man, another guy to look at, Bub Carrington. He's trying to ramp up his shot, mid-range shots, but it's 3-point shots. So realistically going forward, you only one player can hold the ball one time, right? But what kind of stat line do you expect going forward with Bub Carrington, as far as points wise? Because I think you could pencil him in for around 6 assists, right? But what kind of scoring output do you think should be the standard for Bub Carrington?
I think with JP being the primary ball handler, maybe like 15 or 20 tonight is nice. I like that. But one thing about Bub that I just love to see, like you brought up the steals, like I like to see that. Like so far, like a lot of, as a fan of Washington, seeing guys like not being great, like obviously with John, like he was a great defender, but after John left, like really didn't have that point guard that was just like, or even shooting guard that was, like, even Brad, offensively good, but just not a defensive guy. So seeing him being able to do it on both ends at a young age is very promising. And to go back to your question, that's 15 to 20 points. I think very good. And going forward, Bub, like I just love his game. Honestly, like I thought I was gonna. I know it's easy to say that Sar was a guy that you're gonna be looking forward to the most this draft class, but Bub, man, I mean, he just has that moxie that like young players you just don't really see until like year two or year three.
Call like it is, man. He's a dog. I mean, he's a dog, man. So I'm with you. I can see around 12. Now, I don't think, again, with, Kyle Kuzma being a number one option with JP 13 with his usage rate, I think realistically with Bub Carrington, you probably can expect around 12 points per game, added, 6 assists. So I'm with you on that. So we're going to get into a few question marks, man, because Cam Whitmore is in the G League for the Houston Rockets, and Denny Avdia ain't looking too good in Portland. So, which one was the bigger surprise? We're going to talk about both of those. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get, right? Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. Oh, yeah. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month, when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. So look, do yourself a favor. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's get back into this thing, man. So, like I said, a couple of very intriguing storylines, right? Because both of these players kind of connect to the Wizards in certain ways. Cam Whitmore was a guy that a lot of people kind of expected in the draft. He's a DMV native. He's a guy who he's shown that he can play, man. I mean, he's definitely pro ready. But if you look at the influx of talent in Houston, he's in a G League, believe it or not. And he's, Reed Shepherd actually beat him out for that roster spot. And so now he is currently in the G League. So, and then looking at Denny Avdia, aka Turbo, former Wizard now in Portland. Now he is now on the bench role, being replaced by Shaedon Sharpe. So question mark is, which one's the bigger surprise to you?
As much as I was upset that night that we traded Denny, obviously looking at hindsight 2020, we got Bub Carrington out of it. I'm not gonna lie, Cam Whitmore being in the G League, I mean, especially since the Rockets are a young team as well. Like, yeah. I just did not expect that. I'm not gonna say like I expected Denny to be an all-star, but again, like Portland, like I don't know, you gave a first-round pick for the guy. It's like so like 50-50, which I don't even know like. But I would say Cam Whitmore just because I love him so much as a player, and I really wanted the Wiz to draft him. And with Denny, like again, like shout out to Will Dawkins. I mean, find a way to get a first-round pick for him, and clearly, obviously, it's early on in the season. Maybe down the line he'll do some good things. But as of right now, I think we won that trade. That's a whole different side of the ball game. I think Cam Whitmore is the more surprise be.
Yeah, and I don't think that him going to the G League had so much with his performance because he was actually playing good basketball. It's just they had such an influx of talent in Houston, and that's another team you kind of look at as far as success of winning through the draft. Now, obviously, they were bad, so they were able to get those really good picks, but they got nice talent. I mean, Amon Thompson, man, is a nice piece. Obviously Jalen Green. I mean, he's unreal, but Şengün, looking at like you said, hindsight is 2020, and we were in a position to get Şengün, and he was a guy that I really wanted. So again, the ghost of Tommy Shepard comes back to haunt the Washington Wizards because Şengün tonight, Look, Alex R, I think he definitely shows potential, but he ain't quite there at center, man. I mean, Şengün did whatever he wanted to do. So, but I'm getting off track for a little bit. I'm getting back to Cam Whitmore.
You can keep talking about Şengün. That's my Turkish guy.
I mean, look, I'm a big fan of Şengün. I mean, he's a very versatile big. I mean, he played well tonight, man. He really just, I mean, there's nothing they could do to stop him. I mean, he
at 21 years old too, B.
21 years old. So again, fits the timeline. But I'm saying, but Cam Whitmore was a guy that, I definitely liked in the draft. I was very surprised that he slid so far. I know there's rumors of, injury, but he slid way farther than I think a lot of us expected. But I kind of expected it though, because with the influx of talent. Now look at the Denny Avdia. I'm with you. I'm a big Denny fan. I think he's a good player. I think that he fit well in DC because of the system they ran. I feel like Brian Keefe got a lot out of him. And so I think it's a system thing. With him in Portland, I'm not surprised either, man, because of the talent they have there. You got Anthony Simons, man. You have Scoot Henderson. I mean, you got Sharp. I mean, you got a lot of players. You got, Klingon. You got Aiden. You have, you have a lot of young talent. It's kind of like the Houston Rockets where, where do you really put him at? Because he's not going to be put in the same role like he did in DC where he was like a secondary ball handler. They're not going to put the ball in his hands. I mean, look at who they, I didn't think that it was going to have the same success. It's all about the system. And that's the thing that people don't realize in the NBA. People, you got to look at the system, the surrounding, the supporting cast, the coaching. There's a lot of factors that help, set a young player up for success. And again, Denny, I feel like Brian Keefe got the most out of Denny. I think that's a big reason why he had that breakout campaign because, he had his performances in the first half, man. But, so I'm not surprised by either one, man. I'm just not. The struggles in Portland, it's disconcerting. I agree with you. The trade to bring in Malcolm Brogdon, Bub Carrington being that pick at 14, and the 2 second-round picks, in the 2029 first-round pick was a great trade. I mean, Will Dawkins did his thing. That was a really good move. Even though I think a lot of us expected Kuz was going to be that guy at 13 to Sacramento, but it is what it is. That ship has sailed. So, but I'm not surprised because there's only one ball. And when you look at, teams, especially young teams where you have a lot of players who need the ball in their hands, you can only have, only so many guys can get so many touches. So I'm not surprised, but it is concerning because you hate to see a young player, just struggle, man. Going to Portland, he's going to struggle. Honestly, I can see a scenario where he could probably get traded again. I mean, because I like, I think that the writing's on the wall, especially if you look at, but then I'm going to hold back a little bit. I kind of thought about it. Hold back because look at what they gave up to get him. You gave him 2 first-round picks to get him. So they got to find a way to kind of get him started and figure out ways where he can contribute because, they got a nice little young squad at Portland. They're going to be nice, man. Like I said, I like what they're doing. I like what Houston's doing. There's nice young teams out there in the West, man. Even if the West is a monster, but it shows you the West is going to be the dominant conference for a long time because you have teams like, Houston. You have teams like Portland who are kind of up and coming, man. So like I said, I think they're going to eventually find a way to get him started because the future is not with Aiden. The future is, Shaedon Sharpe is definitely the future, but they have some moves to make too. So, but Cam Whitmore, I'm going to ask you this real quick. If you're Will Dawkins, do you consider making a move for Cam Whitmore?
I mean, if you see that Houston is clearly like not using him to his potential, and if they really want to get rid of him that eagerly, I don't see why not bring him to DC, man. I was again, like you mentioned, a big fan of him coming out of the draft, and just because you have, and it's low-key a good problem to have when you're a GM when you have so much talent. Why not get some more draft capital? And clearly, there's a guy that you're just not going to use. Send him to DC. I don't know what's his draft value as of right now, but if I'm Will Dawkins, why not, man?
I mean, the price tag's not high, but I think the biggest thing is if I acquire him, I'm going to start. And where does he fit? Now you can slide Bilal Koulibaly to the 2, but then at that point, you're pretty much saying, look, you're looking at this backcourt and saying somebody got to, go to the 6-man role. So, so it could be Bub because at this point, you're going to probably put JP13 at point guard. So, but then with this being a developmental season, you don't really want to put a player like Bub who has shown really good minutes as a starter. So, like I said, it's really about fit. Now, if he wants to play the 4, then maybe we're talking about something. You know what I mean? Like, could he be the future at 4? Even though I know a lot of people like Cooper Flag a bust. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a hard decision. This is a decision that I don't envy Will Dawkins, man, because it's a hard decision. On one hand, He's in the G League. So, and he's making, I believe I had it up, but it was like $3.5 million. So it's cheap. I mean, you could acquire him and then do it on the cheap because they're not even playing him. He's in the G League right now. So, that's one of those questions where you never want to stop looking to add young talent. But then the question that always comes up is, where do they fit, especially long term? Because a lot of decisions to be made in the next 3 years. You know what I mean? So, I was kind of inquisitive about what you thought about that. So, like I said, I'm with you. Maybe you take a look at it, but like I said, depth is a beautiful thing too. And he could be a guy that they're looking to stash in the G League in the event of an injury or any kind of trade because we'll see, if Brooks is traded, because Brooks is one of those guys, man, where Dylan Brooks, man, I'm trying to say he's his own type of cat. So, all right, man, we're gonna get in the comments, but before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to check out the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. Good Lord. So when you get 100 minutes of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You can start with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, AB, we're going to get back into this thing, man. Let's get into the comments. All right. Like I said, appreciate everybody who wrote with us tonight. Another Wizards loss, but look, it's all about the process, right? So let's get into the comments. And obviously, my guy, Locked on Law, kicks it off. He says, hopefully everyone brings their A game, not just Bilal. So I think that comment, it was probably before the game. Okay. So I think I guess they didn't, right? Let's see. Let's get into back again. Locked on Law says they need to stop putting Kuzma and Kispert in the rotation. These two are killing the rest of the team. I don't know, bro. I don't think they're going to think about the rotation. I mean, I think they're definitely a rotational piece. But Kuzma I know he had a 125-point game, but he struggled. And like I said, I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. He's been out 5 games. He's trying to acclimate. I'm going to give him that, man. Like I said, but overall, he has struggled, man. And the same thing, Kispert, he has struggled. So, I kind of asked you that question again. But I'm going to group both of them together, and I'm kind of asking the same question, man. Not so much Kispert, but are you concerned yet with Kuzma? I know you kind of answered that with Kispert.
I've been saying with Kuz is that 1 foot out of the door. I think he just knows that he's going to get traded. And does he have an incentive to play good? I don't know. I mean, obviously he doesn't want to look like a bum out there. But on one end, if it's like, I know I'm not going to be here for the future, might as well shoot 7 of 18 from the field. So I don't know. It's just like the demeanor is just not there. Obviously, with Corey, he's definitely thinks he's part of the organization more compared to Kyle. But again, like I've always been the type of guy where it's like he was clearly in trade rumors, not once, twice, a couple of times. Like there's really no point of like going out there and knowing that like, especially like you're supposed to be a leader of the team. But how can you be a leader of the team when you're basically on in like trade talks every single day? So it's kind of like a wishy-washy situation. Obviously, I hope the best for former Wizards and Kyle Kuzma. I know he's going to be a former Wizard, hopefully by the trade deadline. And we'll see what goes from there.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. At times has shown disinterest. And then, like I said, it surprised me because he's a guy who wanted to be here. He wanted to be part of the process. He's putting roots into the community, which is a good thing. Definitely like to see that from a player. Big reason why I rock with Kuz because of what he does off the court, man. I like to see that. Obviously a small business owner, own a couple of restaurants, so he's putting his roots into the DMV. But here's the thing: those aren't I think we all know the writings on the wall. The biggest thing is everybody is tradable. Everybody, especially the vets. Now, like I said, I don't see Jordan Poole. I don't see Corey Kispert going anywhere. Sadiq Bey, I think they're going to be around for at least the next 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. But here's the thing with Jonas Valanciunas. I think he's going to be in the Lakers uniform a lot sooner than later. And looking at Kyle Kuzma, there's some fits out there. But the biggest thing is the asking price. They're not going to get those 2 first-round picks, man. They're not going to get them, maybe. They're going to get them. I mean, you might get a first-round pick and a young player, but maybe you take a look at the Lakers too, because like I said, looking at the Lakers situation, they do have a 2029 first-round pick. So I wouldn't mind taking a first-round pick off their hands and maybe picking up a player like Jalen Hood-Schifino, another young guard, put him on the second unit, see what we're cooking with, because I think there's possibilities in the trade market, but you're not going to get the asking price. I think that ship has sailed as far as 2 first-round picks. So I think he will be moved at some point, but it is surprising to see some disinterest. Now, like I said, it's hard to tell. It could be off the court stuff. Could be family stuff. You never know. But then on the flip side of the coin is if a cashier at McDonald's is asked to show up, then we got to ask him to show up, man, even with things going on. So like I said, hope all is well. But like I said, I hope it's not an off the court stuff, nothing serious. But still though, we need you to be that number one scoring option. We need you to be that veteran. And he just has a different demeanor. And like I said, when I talked to him at Media Day, the biggest thing with him and Jordan Poole were they both feel like they were in different headspaces, man. They came into a lot more focused. They came into the season a lot, hungry. And it just seems like Jordan Poole is you definitely see the hunger with him, but with Kyle Kuzma, man. And like I said, I don't know how much that has to do with, a lot of flack he's gotten, the Twitter stuff, getting political. And like I said, I'm a big believer, you vote for whoever you want to vote for. That's the beauty of being American, right? But once you put your stuff out in the media, that opens you up for public opinion, and it is bad juju, man. Like I said, I don't know if that plays a role. It's hard to tell. I know he had that interview with Vogue. That kind of rubbed people the wrong way, man. I don't know. Like I said, I definitely want to. He's got to step it up. We need you to be that number one option. So I'm with you. I think he's definitely going to be moved at some point because, look, that 4 position either is next year Cooper Flag or you pick up a young player this season. But this team's going to be better sooner, man. I don't think it's going to be 3 more years in this rebuild. I think that after the 2025 NBA draft, I think that's the last touches on this roster. I think this young core we have combined with 1, maybe 2 picks in the 2025 draft, we are definitely cooking with grease, man. So let's get into it. Lock the Law says Kispert found a shot. His shot looked a lot better, but I definitely want to see him pick it up. Like I said, 12 points. I think that Corey Kispert will be all right. Man, Lock the Law, you own it tonight, man. Kuzma should never be allowed to touch a basketball game. I mean, it is what it is on that front, man. I think hopefully he picks it up, man. I'll say that. And, it behooves both him and the organization for him to pick it up. Like I said, and, we need him to be that number one option. Because Bilal, but here's the thing, though, AB. Look, Bilal's shown that he can shoulder a lot more of the offensive load. So that's another sign of the writings on the wall is that Bilal is a much improved offensively. And I think that he knows that, he could be that guy on the wing for many years to come. But like I said, the 4 is the biggest question here. That's my question for you real quick. You trade Kyle Kuzma. Who's the 4?
Man, I mean, I don't know if you put Shaw out there the 4, and man, who knows? Maybe someone bringing Cam Whitmore. I don't know. It's that's going to be an interesting tale to see. Going back to this comment, when it comes to Kuz, this was a big problem with JP last year, where it was he would shoot the crazy shots and not play any defense. Sometimes you see that in Kyle, and those going back to pickup basketball, this is the trend to the NBA. When you see a guy out there just taking crazy shots and not even going back on defense, those are the worst people to play with. But when it comes going back to your question about who's playing at the 4, I don't know. It's a very good question. Again, I think it'll be a question to see come the benchmark. I say 20 games in the season if they trade Kyle Kuzma, which again sucks that we won't get that initial trade value of 2 first-round picks. But at this point, if you're Will Dawkins, you have to maximize that value. So it's a good thing to see Kuz put up that many points, even if it's an inefficiency, because you want that trade capital or that young player at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like I said, we know he's been that type of scorer. He's very inefficient, but it is what it is. I don't think that's going to change. He's in his prime. Players are who they are once you hit a certain point, man. And like I said, he's definitely a guy who can score at a high level, but often it comes at the expense of inefficiency or low percentage shots. So, yeah, there's a couple shots in the corner, man, tonight where it's why rush that shot? I mean, pass it out, do something else. You don't have to rush that shot. You don't have, you know what I mean? So I'm with you on that. All right, let's get into Joshua Cotton. He was actually a game tonight, and he repping out of Houston, and he says the game was good to watch, Brandon. And to answer your question from yesterday, the food is great here in Houston. Hey, man, I'm going to hold you to your word, man, because like I said, next year, man, I hit 40 next year, so I'm hitting New Orleans next year for the 40th birthday, but I plan on hitting Houston too, man. So I'm a foodie, man. I'm a little fat boy, so I like to eat. So like I said, definitely let me know what kind of foods and what kind of places to kind of look forward to in H-Town, man. He also said that they should have tried to keep going to Bilal after the first half run he had. Oh, great point. Absolutely. I think you feed the hot hand. And before we even get into that, going back to my question for you, AB, is that why not put Keyshawn George back out there? I mean, look, that young squad with him playing at the 4, they look good. I mean, he was playing well at the 4. I mean, he's 6'8". So, I mean, he's got the size to play the 4. But we're in a really good position because either way we play Keyshawn George, we can use him to maximum effect. When we combine him with Corey Kispert on the second unit, they're a nice 1-2 punch. But when you start him, he's shown that he can play with Bub. He can play with Bilal. He can play with Alex Hart, man. So, like I said, Kuz, love his game, love what he's done in DC, man. But this is the business, and you have to be real with the situation. And the time has come. Maximize that value. And I think the value is a first-round pick and probably salary filler or a young player in return, man. But the writing's on the wall. You're not going to meet that price. I think last year was the height of the value, was that true first-round picks. And the Dallas Mavericks move, to me, you either flip them to Dallas or you really entertain a deal with Sacramento. And, and that's where I'm at. I think that if you weren't willing to move him to the Dallas Mavericks, they should have moved him for the 13th pick. And you would have still been in position to go get Bub Carrington. Like I said, so the ship is sailed. I know. The ship is sailed.
I've learned that in school. It's called sunk cost. You can only dwindle about the past so much,
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, that ship sailed, man. You can't harp on the trade. It is what it is. And like I said, we got Bub Carrington. So I ain't too mad, man. The kid's going to be a star, man. He's a dog. So let's get into No Breaks New. My God, man. How you doing tonight? Again, if you do not follow his podcast, man, look. That is the spot, man. I'm trying to tell you, definitely recommend my guy, No Breaks New, and his podcast, man. Much listen, man. Much listen. He said, I don't know why we collapse in the third quarter every game. I don't expect us to win these games, but we fall all apart. Can't wait for Rooks to get through. Man, wait, they're getting bullied. Yeah, I mean, you definitely see a change in the last couple games. This game, the last game, you definitely see that the losses take a toll. I mean, and they do. I mean, come on now. It's just human nature, man. I mean, we're built to compete. And this is a very young team. And when you lose in this fashion every night, but that's the thing, though. I said it in the last episode, man, and I said it time and time again that for 85% of the league, we're going to be, outplayed because there is a talent gap. We're a young, unproven team. Yes, you see the potential, obviously, with our young squad, man, but we're still a much unproven team. We're very young. So you're going to be facing a talent gap for most games. And with Houston, it was a massive talent gap. I mean, Jalen Green, you're not going to stop a guy like Jalen Green. You can try to slow him down, but there's just those players in the league, man, where you're not going to stop them. Jalen Green, he's just money with that step back 3-point shot, man. So like I said, it's a talent gap. Now, once we start to get these guys developed, we're going to be a better team. But, like I said, I'm with you, man. It's hard to watch sometimes. You feel bad for them because you see it on their faces. I know JP13 tonight was just like, wow, man. So, like I said, it's human nature to want to compete. Not anybody likes catching L's unless you're just like really, really depressed. I mean, nobody likes catching L's, man. You want to compete. So, like I said, that's the thing about rebuilds, man. They're hard. They're hard for everybody involved. They're hard for the players. They're hard for the organization, and they're hard for the fan base because
they'll be worth it, though.
Absolutely, man. It's kind of like having a child, right? You want to believe that develop them, nurturing them, that they're going to end up being a productive citizen, man. But that's the thing, it's about the journey, man. It's about those small moments, man. Because Lord, for all y'all that got kids, good Lord, man, it's definitely about the journey. So let's get into Locked On Law. It says shot terrible, rebounded terrible, defended terrible, hard to win any game like that. Amen. Can't argue with that. All right, let's see. Nomadic Brian, how you doing tonight? Boards to the Rockets tonight, man. By 20 boards, Lord. But that was another comment that was made in media day where they felt that they were going to be a better rebounding team with Jonathan Valanciunas, man. And while, he's doing his thing, 8 rebounds night, so he definitely contributed. But rebound has been an issue dating back for a couple seasons now. We got to get better. If we want to be a better team in the future, we've got to be a better rebounding team. I mean, Şengün just did whatever he wanted. I mean, he controlled the paint. He was the king, the mayor, the landlord of the paint tonight, man. I mean, there was nothing that could be done. I mean, there was no player on this team that could really counteract what he did in paint. And like I said, Alex Hart has showed that he's just not ready to hold down the 5, man. He's not ready because Şengün did whatever he wanted. I mean, there was times where he put the ball on the floor and drove on him. It's like, oh, okay now. So
learning curve still there.
Yeah, man. It says No Breaks News says I think it's time to rethink Johnny Davis. He fixed the shot and right, and he's an above average defender. I give you that. I might give him a prove it deal, 1 to 2 years. He's made most of every minute he's played this season. You know what? I agree 100%. I think that, and I was in the camp of give him a year under Brian Keith, and I think that they did that. Number one, they declined his option. That lit a fire a little bit because look, when you know you probably ain't getting paid next year, that has a whole dynamic with what you got going on, man. So give him a year under Brian Keefe. See if Brian Keefe can fix him. Because you see the fixed shot, he's always been a good defender. He's active, man. With his ball handling, he has confidence. Let's see if we can recoup him. Give him a year. Now, if he doesn't pan out after this year, then obviously with them declining this option, then there's not that long-term handcuff. You know what I mean? We can just let him go his way. But, give him a year. I want to see what Brian Keefe can do because, look, hate him or love him. I don't see why you hate him. But, Brian Keefe has shown that he can get the most out of these guys, man. He's the right coach for the job. And that's why I was a big advocate for him getting the job, man, because his resume, it speaks for itself as far as the talent in the NBA that he's been able to develop. Let's see. The Son of God. Kuz back with the inefficient 18 attempts and JP with the 8 turnovers. We back, boys. I didn't cover those 8 turnovers, did I? Yeah. But you know what? Honestly, with JP, man, he's been much improved. Yeah, 8 turnovers is an eyesore. There's nothing I can say that's going to take away from that fact. But I'm not saying I'm okay with it, but I'm saying that I think he's going to bounce back. I think he's definitely trying to bounce back this season. But Kuz, he is what he is. I mean, just as players, they are who they are. Ben Simmons is one of those guys where he is who he is. He's not going to shoot that 3-point shot. I mean, I don't care how many workout videos he does every offseason. He's not going to take that 3-point shot. And Kuz, man, and that's the thing that if you really look back, right, when you got guys who are just that scoring-minded player, inefficiency is always the name of the game with them. The late, great Kobe Bryant, if you look at the amount of points he was able to accumulate, the one of the few things you can really get on him was inefficiency. He's going to put those shot attempts up, man. So, he is what he is at this point, man. Just the hope is, can he get other people involved or don't let the inefficiency be a detriment to the team? That's the biggest thing, because once it does become a detriment, then it becomes a problem. All right, let's see. Bayern Man 12 says Keyshawn looks like a diamond in the rough. He is a definite diamond in the rough, man. This man is Zales in the rough, man. I mean, this dude is a stud. I mean, I'm telling you, man, he's a stud. And hey, AB, where we drafted him again?
Late, man.
24,
I think it was,
right?
24, yeah.
24.
I was about to say, B, going to Keyshawn, like, I really thought this man was going to play in the G League for at least a good amount of the season. The fact that he's, like, from 3 and his defense, like, oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, even going into this season, like, no one even talked about him out of the 3. It was majority of Bub and Alex. So to see Keyshawn balling out like that, I wasn't, like, I'm not going to say I was the biggest fan of him coming out of college, but, man, dude, he's been turning people's eyes.
I mean, I'll be real with you. I was, man. That was a guy that, anybody that watched a lot of my content during the draft, man, that was a guy that I wanted us to target because
pat on the shoulder, man.
I ain't trying to be Nostradamus now. I'm just, but I saw the potential. He only shot, I believe, and I don't have the stats in front of me, man, but he only shot like 6 shot attempts a game in Miami, and out of those 6 shot attempts, 3 of them were threes. So he's always been a 3-shot type-minded player. I mean, he's a sniper. He's a sharpshooter. So, I'm not surprised. He's a guy that I definitely wanted to target in the draft, man. But to get him with the 24th overall pick, come on now. We are not under Tommy Shepard anymore, man. We'll dog him, man.
With Tommy, it was always like, if it's not a top 5 pick, that guy's not going to be good. Now, like, guys in the second round, like Tristan Vucevic, who hopefully we'll see later on this season, are like guys that it's not just like they're going to be like stashed away or sent somewhere else. Like they're actually going to get meaningful minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you, man. Tommy Shepard was that guy where he's going to go scout the one basketball player in Siberia and see if you're going to draft him with like this number 7 overall pick. So it is what it is. Thank God he is out of here. Let's see. Locked on glass half full. Oh, I like it. Nice to see CK get his shot back. The Rooks, aka the Wiz Kids, continue to show promise. The unbroken kind. Trey Kuzma. I think that the jury's out. I think most people are in the camp of Trey Kuzma, man. Let's see. Vic. Sar is a bust, 7-footer, but he always wanted to shoot that 3-point shot. He ain't no bust, man. I think that he's very raw. I'll say that he is very, very raw, and we knew that coming out of the draft. We knew that Bilal last season was very raw, but he is much improved. But in ways, he's still progressing, man. He's still developing as an offensive threat. Give him time, man. He ain't a bust. I mean, he's got massive potential. Now, he's got some work to do. Now, the ball is definitely in his court to get better. Definitely need to play, definitely want to see him play a lot more with his back to the basket, counter moves, man, post moves, stuff like that. He can't be just a stretch big, man. 7'1", you need to eat in the paint. And I'm hoping tonight's performance will light a fire under him, man, because Şengün, man, smacked him up. Şengün, smacked him up. And you're going into San Antonio with another Frenchman. Man.
I was about to say, B, who do we throw at Wemby?
What do you do with Wemby? That's what I'm saying. Like, you want to see some kind of fire be lit underneath him, man, because you go to San Antonio, Wemby's going to give you that. He's going to give it to you, man. I'm saying, man, it's going to be money all night. So he's got to really bounce back, but I think he will, man. But again, guys, I'm not ready for bust. It's not even close because you see the potential. He just needs time. Offensively, very raw, but he's got a lot. I ain't gonna take away from the fact that he definitely has a long way to go, and it really behooves him to put that work in. But I think he's gonna be all right because I think he's gonna be good. I still think he's gonna be good. Let's see, locked on glass half full says really Wagner didn't F up Bub's knee. Yeah, man. That dude always does like this most cartoonish stuff, man. Like he slides halfway. It's just Mo Wagner, man. And he's such a fake tough guy. He talks his junk and all that. It's like, come on, bro. Like, we know what it is. You used to be a wizard. Come on, now. We know what it is. Stop it, man. It's like Wayne Brady, in a gangster movie. It's like, come on, man. Look, we know what it is, bro. Like, stop it. Just stop it. Let's get into, let's see, Crown. Will Keyshawn be a rich man's Otto Porter? Uh-oh. Okay. Somebody compared him to Paul George. I think that's a good comparison, man. But Otto Porter, look, call it like it is. He wasn't a bad player. He just wasn't a starter. And he daggone sure wasn't a max player. That's a testament to John Wall.
That was just on Ernie Grunfeld paying him that much money.
Ernie Grunfeld paid everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
All you had to do was knock on the door and say, hey, Ernie, can I get a paycheck? John Mahimi got I forget.
64 mil, I think.
Oh my God. He paid anybody, man. If you saw you on the street, then hook a brother with $100. He just gives money to anybody, man. So yeah, I'm with you. But he wasn't worth the max. And when Brooklyn decided to match the contract offer, I would have let him go to the Nets, man. I was one of those guys that said, look, don't pay Otto the max, man. Let him go to the Brooklyn Nets. But Georgetown guy, man, I'm a Hoya guy. So shout out to Otto Porter. You just retired, man. So look, he'll stay able to get a really nice career in the NBA. So, like I said, not everybody's going to be a star or a starter, but he definitely kind of like a JaVale McGee, man, a guy who just knows his role. He was able to find success just being a really good role player. Let's see, Dante Rogers, how you doing tonight? It says Wiz kids got to play it better, coaches got to coach it better. Box out, Lord have mercy. Yeah, send them the DVD to box out, man. Boxing out. The fundamentals of rebounding, they've got to work on it, and we. Dating back for the last couple of years, have been such a bad rebounding team. We got to step it up because the hope was Jonas Valanciunas would make this a better rebounding team, but he can't do it alone. We definitely need him, them overall as a team to step it up, man, because Jonas can't do it all. You contributed 8 rebounds, but see. All right, everybody.
When it comes to boxing out, hearing those 2 words get PTSD as playing basketball growing up as a kid, man. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh Lord, man. Yeah, the rebounding is a problem. It is a problem. So yeah, man. I totally overlooked the turnovers, man. So I went back to the box score. 8 turnovers. Lord have mercy. So let's get into guys. We're around the 43-minute mark. So like I said, we're probably gonna do 2, maybe 3 more comments or questions, man. Because you guys know me, man. I hate to miss anybody's questions. So let's see. Dante Rogers again says, "Come on, deadline." Come get Kuz up, inefficient butt up out of here. Get draft capital and keep developing young guys. I'm with it, man. I think most of these vets need to be on another team by the deadline. That's I need to see a youth movement. They tease me, man. When they put Keyshawn in there with both Bub and Bilal and Alex R, and we saw them play really good ball, they play well together. They play really nice together, man. So like I said, you definitely want to see them form that chemistry early on, man, because it's going to pay dividends going forward, man. Build that chemistry now. So I'm with you on that. I fully expect a lot of these vets. Now, it's not moving every vet's going to be easy. Malcolm Brogdon's going to be a hard contract to move right now, man. So, Sadiq Bey, he's going to be around for a while. I don't see them moving Jordan Poole or Corey Kispert, but Jonas Valanciunas is going to be the easier guy to move. And Kyle Kuzma, I think they'll be able to move him once they lower that asking price down. They're not going to get 2 first-round picks. Ain't going to happen, man. Maybe in Shanghai, but it ain't going to happen in the NBA, man. You're not going to get 2 first-round picks, man. And that's not to throw shade at Kyle Kuzma. It's just we're being realistic. Look, I made it known. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. I've enjoyed seeing him be that complete player here in DC. He's done well here in DC. Doing the work off the court. He's done well. But we're in a rebuild, and you have to be realistic, and that's how we attack things as analysts. Look, we got to be real. This is a business. How did he get here? He got traded, right? So trades happen. It happens, but it's part of the game, and the writing's on the wall. So, man, a lot of people got a lot to say about Kuz and Knight, man. Lord have mercy. Let's see. Lock the Law says, I have no time for Denny fans. Look, man. Oh, man. For anybody who watched this show last couple of years, you better believe that Portland, man,